This is not normal for adults, let alone children. It is against our natural human instincts. Think of the last time you had a spontaneous experience where you were forced into interacting with your fellow humans, like in a traffic jam when everything's stopped and everybody gets out of their cars. What happens? People, strangers even, begin to strike up conversations. What about after a disaster strikes? People come together and strike up conversations with each other. Why? As a species we're information gatherers, it is imperative to our survival and is an actual part of our DNA. As free thinkers, our species' survival is dependent upon information, and without it we die. Think about it, how many of you instinctively know how to plant seeds? How to start fires? How to build shelters? You can readily see how dependent we, as a species, are on information from other humans. Being natural humans, however, does not make us industrial men. To be an industrial man, you have to be able to be around your fellow humans and not talk. You have to be able to suppress your bodily functions until you have permission to do what your body insists need to be done. You have to suppress your intelligence and common sense and learn to obey, without question, your teacher, boss, supervisor, manager. You have to cease being human, period. So, as I got older and away from the influence of teachers, I became a heretic, which is one who holds beliefs contrary to those accepted by the majority of others. But I've noticed something different happening over the last 25 years. There are more like me waking up every day, and maybe you're one too. And by waking up I mean that you are begging to think for yourself, not believe those in authority just because they say something is so, and are now searching for answers to all the questions you've had stored up in you since childhood. You are looking at your life in a new way, from a new perspective, and wondering why you have so much in money and property, yet happiness, contentment, and love seem more elusive than ever. You are also feeling something so gut level as to be primordial. A sense that a great change is about to occur, yet at the same time not knowing where those feelings are coming from or what to even do about them. You know you are being lied to, have been lied to your whole life, and expect to be lied to in the future. You are also aware that your education has prepared you for nothing that is important in life, especially survival, yet your senses keep telling you to do something. Your very survival depends on it. But what? Since you're listening to my story, you're going to have to hear my answers, or you can just close this book now and find another way to answer the many questions that are inside of you. To go on, however, I must warn you about something very important. Information from any source, including this book, becomes a part of whom and what you are. Wise words indeed were spoken by Jesus when he said that words are like mustard seeds. They are the tiniest seeds yet growing to the largest herb. In other words, words are one of the most important mediums for the exchange of information for humans, and none can or should ever be taken lightly. From new research coming out of Russia, we have some astounding evidence of this, and I'll be as brief as I can. Human DNA can be likened to a biological internet and superior in many aspects to the artificial one. The latest Russian scientific research directly or indirectly explains phenomena such as clairvoyance, intuition, spontaneous and remote acts of healing, self-healing, affirmation techniques, unusual light auras around people, namely spiritual masters, the mind's influence on weather patterns, and much more. In addition, there is evidence for a whole new type of medicine in which DNA can be influenced and reprogrammed by words and frequencies without cutting out and replacing single genes. It appears that only 10% of our DNA is being used for building proteins. It is this subset of DNA that is of interest to Western researchers and is being examined and categorized. The other 90% are considered junk DNA. The Russian researchers, however, convinced that nature was not dumb, joined linguists and geneticists in a venture to explore those 90% of junk DNA. Their results, findings and conclusions are simply revolutionary. According to them, our DNA is not only responsible for the construction of our body but also serves as data storage and in communication. The Russian linguists found that the genetic code, especially in the apparently useless 90%, follows the same rules as all our human languages. To this end they compared the rules of syntax, the way in which words are put together to form phrases and sentences, semantics, the study of meaning in language forms, and the basic rules of grammar. They found that the alkalines of our DNA follow a regular grammar and do have set rules just like our languages. So human languages did not appear coincidentally but are a reflection of our inherent DNA. The Russian biophysicist and molecular biologist Pyotr Garjajev and his colleagues also explored the vibrational behavior of the DNA. The bottom line was living chromosomes function just like solitonic holographic computers using the endogenous DNA laser radiation. This means that they managed, for example, to modulate certain frequency patterns onto a laser ray and with it influence the DNA frequency and thus the genetic information itself. Since the basic structure of alkaline pairs and of language as explained earlier are of the same structure, no DNA decoding is necessary. One can simply use words and sentences of the human language. Remember the mustard seeds Jesus talked about? This, too, was experimentally proven. Living DNA substance in living tissue, not in vitro, will always react to language-modulated laser rays and even to radio waves, if the proper frequencies are being used. This finally and scientifically explains why affirmations, autogenous training, hypnosis, and the like can have such strong effects on humans and their bodies. It is entirely normal and natural